URC round number 11, folks. Ospreys up against Leinster is a game I watched here in NZ this morning. I was feasting on Super Rugby getting underway last night. Some entertaining games if you haven't seen those yet. But back into URC action in that kind of midpoint of the Six Nations where a lot of players are not available. And it's potentially a time when Leinster's a little bit vulnerable because in particular they are missing a ton of players, but they still get a win, unbeaten. 22-19. I'll be honest, it might have been nice to see the Ospreys sneak a win, break Leinster's perfect record at the moment, just with, Six Nations going the way it is, and, my whiteboard's almost falling over, and with, with Gats leaving Wales, and whatnot. They pushed them, but not quite. And I think they'll be frustrated with a few of their errors. But man, how good is the depth of Leinster rugby that they can still go away to the Ospreys, who are a bit of a resurgent team in recent times, and still manage to get a win. I think if you wanted to watch this game, this game's going to really appeal to breakdown enthusiasts. Like if you want to see Morgan Morris and Max Deegan and Justin Tipuric winning penalties, the breakdown is a hell of a game because there were some great defensive shifts from both sides, but there were also some nice tries as well. Plus the mauls. There were a few maul tries along the way. We'll go through some of the key events pretty quick, stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. But a lot of Leinster ball early and Morgan Morris getting the Ospreys out of jail a couple of times with a couple of early turnovers, one on defence. The Ospreys were kind of having trouble making inroads into Leinster's defence when they had the ball. And then you finally saw Leinster click on 13 minutes with McGrath finishing off the try. You had the likes of Jamie Osborne, Jimmy O'Brien, Max Deegan, all with the hands in the build-up. It was maybe the try of the game, just in terms of the fluidity of the play. It was pretty nice. Missed conversion, but 5 points to nil, so Leinster on the board. Osborne was putting some pretty nice boot to ball as well, territorially, and Leinster extended their lead with a penalty not long later to make it 8-0. Ospreys, when they got their territorial kicking game going, they got a nice one that was just outside the Leinster 22, another one which was a 50-22, actually pinging the Leinster guys back after the 50-22. You're wondering, what can the Ospreys do? Now they got some ball down Leinster's end in their 22. They knocked it on almost immediately. It was a little bit frustrating. So, yeah, Leinster's scrum was looking good. Ospreys line-out was looking a little bit shaky. But though, the Ospreys finally did open their scoring. It took them half an hour. But Deves, on 36 minutes, managed to push over. It comes from a penalty. They go for a touch. Tipuric wins it in the air. I think it was contested from memory. The Leinster guys tried to contest to put a bit of pressure on that Ospreys line-out, but maybe that left a little bit vulnerable to the shove, which the Ospreys put on. Kind of shifts right. Deves goes over. Converted, so 8 points to 7. Properly game on. But if you're going to score against Leinster, you need to get your exit more or less flawless, which the Ospreys don't. They concede a penalty for a croc roll after they failed to exit. So Leinster, given that opportunity, well, you don't need to give Leinster an opportunity. They go through a bunch of phases, close range to the Ospreys line, and Tector is able to go over on 39 minutes. So just as the Ospreys were back into it, Leinster just take it back away from them. So 7 points for the Ospreys, 15. Leinster, they did have kind of one last chance for a maul shove before halftime, the Ospreys guys, but Leinster did pretty well to shut that down. So 15-7 lead at halftime. Ospreys have had a bit more ball, 55%, but the clean breaks is 3-1, which is pretty low in the scheme of things, but just indicates that even having more ball against Leinster, they've been struggling to find space. So, yeah, and the penalty count 7-5 against the Ospreys. Second half, Ospreys get their maul going again, which sees Lewis go over on 48 minutes. So that's, again, kind of back to game on. 15-12. It is probably seeming like the main strike weapon of the Ospreys in this game because, like I said, finding space in the backfield has been a bit of a struggle. There's a kind of a stanza in the middle of the game where we don't have a lot in the way of scoring. There's a few handling errors. You feel like Leinster are getting the better of the territorial game. And then finally, when they get some possession, Leinster turn the screws, and the big prop Slimani is able to go over for Leinster's third on 65. So 22-12, you're thinking that's probably enough for the game. But despite the Ospreys, again, struggling to really get the ball into any space, you still felt like if you give them one maul chance, it might be enough. On 72 minutes, Leinster gave them that chance. It's a penalty conceded. Ospreys go for touch. The maul does get stopped, but Ospreys are able to go through phases. And this guy, I don't think I've seen him play before. If I have, I don't remember him. Cam Jones, pick and go from close range. He goes over on 74 minutes. That's 22-19. That's game on. And the Ospreys will have chances. You feel like the Leinster guys are probably happy just to kind of see the game out. Like, Ospreys were desperate for a turnover. They just wanted any ball. Leinster quite happy to work through 10 phases. Ross Byrne puts up a big up and under, but then Leinster concede a penalty, so you're thinking one last chance for the Ospreys. But no, Leinster win a penalty at the breakdown. The Ospreys guys not releasing. But then Tipperick, with 20 seconds on the clock, again, left the Ospreys with one last chance when he won a penalty at the breakdown. But then from that penalty, Ospreys missed touch, trying to chew off too many metres. I guess they figured you got to go for the distance, because if you can get the maul close enough, we're a chance to win it. Whereas if we're 20 metres out, we're probably not going to be able to maul that far, but you got to find touch. They didn't find touch, so Leinster walk away with another win in the URC. Despite all the internationals being away, possession finishes 52-48, so pretty tight. Ospreys have got slightly more, but less than they had in the first half. The territory finishes 54-46. In the second half, it was 60-40 to Leinster. I think they controlled that pretty well. Run meters 295 to 212 Leinster. Clean breaks 4-1 Leinster. Turnovers 175 Leinster. But yeah, like I mentioned, there were a whole bunch of good guys in terms of showing their breakdown skills on display at this one. Penalty counts pretty even. 11 by Leinster, 10 by the Ospreys. Morgan Morris was one of those breakdown exponents. 3 turnovers, 1 from him, beats 5 defenders. He's still one of my favourite non-international cap players at the moment. Deves made 19 tackles, plus got that try. Deacon had 2 turnovers, 1. Gus McCarthy had 12 tackles. Jamie Osborne had the most run meters of the match by a mile with 85. The next best had 43. So yeah, man, there you go. Might have been nice to see the Ospreys win it, but Leinster are they're not going to give up their unbeaten record to just anybody. If you're going to beat them, you've got to work for it. And, yeah, just too good. Just too good. You guys let us know your thoughts on the games. And you're going to go hang out with the old man for a bit. He's over there catching up on some Super Rugby. And, yeah, my team gets underway tonight. Blues Chiefs. Go the Blues. You guys take care. Talk to you guys again soon. See you later.